Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast or YouTube content. Like, I don't know what we're going to call this on YouTube. I don't know what do they call these things on YouTube? Videos. They're videos, you idiot. We're on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the podcast, shout out to you. Thanks for listening. Check out youtube.com. Have you ever heard of this? Watching the Boxes is on YouTube, and this mock draft in video format where you can see the picks, you can see what's going on the Yahoo mock draft tracker. You can see like what picks I'm making, who's going off the board, etc. So I suggest checking us out on YouTube, Watching the Box. Just Google Watching the Boxes or go to YouTube and then type Watching the Boxes. That's very easy. And why am I telling people how to use the internet? That's ridiculous. I don't need to tell people how to use the internet. This is a 12-team mock draft. Might be a real one, actually. I should probably look into whether this is a real draft or just a mock draft. There might be money on this. Uh-oh. Well, I'm once again ill-prepared, but I am picking seventh, which I honestly haven't really the 7, 8, 9 space. I have not been in most of my drafts, even mock drafts that I'm in with other people. I have not been in this spot. Like, this is going to be kind of a newer cadence for me, what guys fall to me. And this is an industry mock draft, so there's some pretty sharp people in here. So I feel like reaching is going to have to happen. Because guys are just not going to fall to me. And I think it's very important that you understand the type of people that you're playing with. That's why I like to play with like people I sort of know, or absolutely know, because then you can get a much better feel for where, if they're going to be well-versed in rankings, if they're going to be well-versed in other people's mock drafts, or if they're going to make the smart decisions like reaching down around in round 6 or 7 or 8 for a guy that they want. Then if I want that guy's not going to be there. I am picking 7th, and this is like the no man's land of the first round. A complete no man's land. You got, obviously, hey, don't forget, everybody, set your queue right away, right when you get in here, set your queue. I got Jokic, Wemby. This is a Roto league. I think you take Jokic number 1, Wemby number 2. I think you should take Shea 3 and Luka 4. Could you make an argument Shea at 2 in a Roto league? It would be a hard argument. I guess you could, but I wouldn't agree with you. The top 4 are set. Then it's a crapshoot. I think AD is consensus number 5, and it's hard for me not to go with AD at number 5 in any league. Giannis is not a Roto player. He still should be drafted probably in that late first, early second space, maybe late second in a Roto league, depending on how you want to build your team. You can combo him with good free throw guys like Trae Young. That'd be a fun on the turn Trae Young, Giannis. But he's not available. So then you're kind of left with guys who aren't top 8 players, but are solid, consistent, good. And we don't know who is going to get injured any year, but we do know that some guys get injured more than others. I'm looking at you, Joel Embiid, who's already injured. He's not injured. He's just taking maintenance, which I'll get to that in a second. Tyrese Haliburton, Jayson Tatum, I guess Trae Young. Those are all really safe, solid picks in the first round. Guys who aren't like, by the way, like 5th, 6th, 7th best player, but are solid picks. Then you have your question marks. Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. And in a Roto league, I think you can take more of a chance on those players. I've seen these guys start falling out of the out of the first round even. And in a Roto League, it's about quality starts. Get your quality starts. Getting 60 games from Joel Embiid, who's like a top 3 per game player, and then having to get 22 games from somebody else is probably worth an end of the first round pick for Joel Embiid. Because you only have a certain amount of starts. If you have Joel Embiid and he sits out 3 weeks and you lose those 3 weeks and you don't make the playoffs, your season's over. But if Joel Embiid sits out 3 weeks in the middle of a Roto season, oh well. You should have thought that was going to happen either way. And I think guys like him, KD, who I don't know, actually kind of don't know why KD's in the second round. I've been thinking about this for a while. Why is KD in the second round? We'll talk about that in a little bit. Steph Curry getting like 75%, 60% of the games from Steph Curry, but he's averaging 5 threes a game. And then you slot somebody else in there who's getting like 2.5. You're probably going to win 3 still. So in a Roto League, I think these guys who are slipping, who are kind of like older veterans, going to sit out some games, blah, 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 you can push them up in your rankings. And it looks like we're about to take a quick timeout here before we get started. So we will be right back once the draft gets started. All right, we're almost back from the pause here, and like I said, I am picking 7th here, and I think in most of my drafts where I pick in the middle, I've been getting Halliburton, who I think is perfectly fine for head-to-head if you want to do punting of points. And I think is even better for Roto, but it's kind of like the safe Roto pick in the first round. The safe guard Roto pick. You have AD and Tatum and Halliburton, who are not really top 8 guys, but are going in near the top 8 in order to because they're safer picks. And I think the reason why I'm going to go with Tatum actually at 7 if he gets to me, because Embiid's news about sitting back-to-backs all season isn't news. Did you not think going into the season that Embiid would be sitting back-to-backs? He absolutely will. I'm much more worried about Paul George's health after finding out he's going to be sitting back-to-backs and then tweaking his knee in that preseason game. We don't know what has happened since then. But I'm far more concerned about Paul George's draft value than I am Embiid. And Embiid is starting to fall into the second round. And I'm not going to take Embiid in the first round because I kind of agree that from the get-go, he's a little too risky. But if I can get him in the second round, I'm going to be really, really, really pleased with that move. Because in the second round, I've been noticing, right, Kevin Durant also slipping. And I'm thinking to myself, Joel Embiid and Kevin Durant are the only 2 players who, if you told me they finished top 5 last year, I would believe you, outside of the guys who are already in the top 5. So Tatum is getting to me. I'm going to take Tatum at 7, which I think a lot of people are going to go, oh, what the hell? Wemby went first. Makes sense. Sure. Jokic went second. They have to go 1-2. Doesn't matter which direction. I think if you're in a Roto League, you go Jokic first. Jokic first, Wemby second. In a Roto League, in any other league, go Wemby first. That's fine. Then it went Shea AD Luka. I don't agree with that. Kingy taking Anthony Davis at 4 instead of Luka. I still think in a Roto league, you are going with Luka Doncic at 4. Then AD 5. Giannis at 6 in a Roto league. No, thank you. Not even a first round player, in my opinion. I take Tatum at 7. Trae Young at 8. I actually like. I think Trae Young keeps moving up my board. Tyrese Halliburton keeps moving down my board. And then for some reason, Joel Embiid went in the first round, which I didn't want to happen because he's sliding into the second round. I think if you take Joel Embiid on the turn, fine. Anthony Davis in the first round, no. Anthony Davis in the second round, no. Stop it. Donovan Mitchell goes 12th. Sure. Go right ahead. Take Donovan Mitchell at 12. I got no issues with that. Oh, this is getting weird quick. I'd rather take James Harden. Donovan Mitchell feels like a mid-second round guy to me, and taking him at the turn with Tyrese Maxey is kind of a weird one too. But maybe that person's got something on their mind. LaMelo Ball goes 14, I guess, if you want to take that risk. James Harden goes 15. I like that. I like that pick. He's a turn guy for me. Fred VanVleet goes 16, which is a lot of people are going to say that's crazy high. And if you're in any other league, that is crazy high. But you're probably paying top dollar for Fred VanVleet at 16. If he finishes 16 next year, I'll be like, yeah, I believe that. I don't want to pay top dollar for Fred VanVleet. I want to get him in the third round. But I didn't get him in the third round. And he's already gone at 16. So I think that's it's too high because he usually drops. But if you want him, go get him. Sabonis went 17, and I am very happy to make the selection of Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant and Jayson Tatum. And this is something we've been talking about on the podcast. Going safe in round 1 isn't exciting, but it sets you up for round 2. And in round 2, the various people I've seen in the middle of round 2 who at the end of the season, if you said they are a top 10 per game player, I would believe you. Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. I've seen Joel Embiid hanging around in the second round. And honestly, if Kyrie Irving finished in the top 10, I'd be like, oh, wow. But I wouldn't be like, holy shit, what a career year for Kyrie Irving. Everything broke right for Kyrie Irving. He is a top 10 player. It probably requires some other players not being in the top 10, but he can sneak in. I like going safe in the first round in the middle because the middle is a mess. The middle of the first round is a complete mess. And I don't want to go take Joel Embiid in the middle of the first round. At the end of the first round, if you're on the turn, especially in a Roto league, sure, why not? Because, like I said with Embiid, right, he was always going to set back-to-backs. So Joel Embiid, probably per game value, is either 1, 2, or 3, depending on how the cookie crumbles. He's either the best per game player, second or third. So if you're going to there's 15 back-to-backs that Philly has. So that's 15 less games. So let's just say it's 20 less games. That's 62 games. Well, 20% less of Embiid in a Roto league, right? And this is optimistic. Embiid could play half the year. But even then, I'm making an argument. If Embiid's only going to play 75% of the games, let's say, it doesn't mean the other 25% of your games are empty in a Roto league. In a head-to-head league, when Embiid doesn't play, you don't get those stats. You don't win that week. But in a Roto League, when you are accumulating stats throughout the season, throughout the year, it's all about quality starts. And Embiid, when he starts, is going to be a quality starts. It's going to be a quality start, I guess, not starts. Start. All of those starts will be quality. Let's say he doesn't play 25, 30% of the season. That means you're putting in someone, hopefully one of your bench players, but maybe somebody off the waiver wire, who's doing 40 to 50% of what Joel Embiid does. So in that, like, do the math. Like, if you're getting Joel Embiid for 75% of the season and half of Joel Embiid for the other 25% of the season, that's like basically, well, I'm trying to do some quick math in my head that I'm going to blow, right? And it's coming up on my turn, so I should probably pay attention. You're going to get, like, I don't know, closer to 70, 80%, 85% of Joel Embiid for the entire season. So that's why I don't think Embiid falls into the second round, personally. I like that he's falling in the second round because I want him in the second round. But if you're on the turn, I think you have to take him, especially in a Roto League. Since my pick, Steph Curry went off the board, second round player. Scotty Barnes is a second round player. Chet Holmgren is a second round player. Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns, followed by Jalen Brunson. I think you could take Jalen and Karl Anthony Towns higher in the second round. And of course, it's my pick, and I am not prepared. Probably need a guard. All the guards have kind of disappeared here. I do love Jalen Johnson. DeJounte Murray's out there, but the middle of the third round seems high for him. I do actually really like Desmond Bane. None of these players are going to get back to me. My percentages are really wild good. Desmond Bane being a 2-3 might be the right choice here. Cade Cunningham is living out there as well. And that's probably the most fun pick. The safest pick is Jalen. So I got really good average guys. I could go with another really good average guy. Let's go fun. This is supposed to be fun. Cade Cunningham. Let's go fun. Let's go fun. I got a lot of Jalen Johnson stock this year. Having Tatum, Durant, and Jalen Johnson feels like overkill on forwards. So I probably like Jalen Johnson the most out of those four guys. I don't have Cade Cunningham on any of my teams. And in a Roto League, that's a little like, ooh, Cade Cunningham. Whoa, hold on. You sure you want Cade Cunningham in a Roto League? Well, I've done my prep for him, right? Yeah, his field goal percentage is going to be low, but I have KD and Jayson Tatum shooting at crazy volumes at good percentages. So I'm going to get very good steals from Cade Cunningham, assists from Cade Cunningham, and good points and good threes. And so my team going out there, taking a look, is 3 heavy, point heavy, assist solid. I'm like right in the middle of everything. And this is where I like to be in a Roto draft. I like to be in the middle of everything because then I can pivot depending on where the draft takes me. So I could go. I mean, shit, DeJounte, Jalen, or Desmond might come back to me here in the 4th round, for God's sakes. It would be nice to get a center here, but I just don't find it attractive to be getting these like Miles Turner, Rudy Gobert. They're great centers. I don't find it attractive taking them in the 4th round because 2 rounds later, you're going to get a slew of regular old boring centers. And then 3 rounds after that, you're going to get 80% of those guys like at the end of the draft, like Podol and Zubac and a bunch of other guys that just do the thing a center is supposed to do. So I just don't want to overpay for a center. The only center I'd probably pay a 4th round price for is Bam Adebayo or Rudy Gobert in a lot of builds, and including potentially this build. Rudy Gobert might be a nice addition to solidify blocks and rebounds. So let me go who's coming off the board here. Round 3 was a bunch of dudes who I will go through. But it's coming up on my pick. Top round 4th, Miles Turner went. That's way too early. Bam, Zion Williamson. Oh, no, thank you. In 4th round. Bam Adebayo. Yes, I do like Bam Adebayo. There goes Desmond Bane, unfortunately. So I'm down. I got one guy in between me and DeJounte Murray and Jalen Johnson in my queue, so I'll be taking one of those guys. I like, obviously, Jaylen Brown. I am worried about Kawhi Leonard, but Kawhi Leonard in the 4th round. Ooh, maybe if I didn't go KD already, this is a great risk to take in the 4th round. Especially in a Roto league, because like I said, let's say Kawhi plays half the games. Well, Kawhi Leonard's a per game value a top 10 player, right? If he plays 45 games this season, you're going to get half of your starts from that forward spot are going to be top tier quality. I just don't know if I trust the fact that Kawhi is healthy enough to play even 45 games. I'm a little worried about that. It is my pick here, so I need to shut up and figure out what I'm going to do. I said I'd take Jalen Johnson or Kawhi Leonard. I might risk Kawhi Leonard coming back to me in the 5th round. Jalen Johnson certainly is not, and I just love Jalen Johnson this year. I really do. I think I would have taken DeJounte Murray if he didn't just go. So there goes my cue, but I really think Jalen Johnson's going to have himself a year. I think Atlanta is pivoting to their younger guys. They're going to let him play. I think he's going to be one of the better, other than Jalen Brunson, the best Jalen, second best Jalen in the league. How about that for fantasy basketball? I thought about doing an all Jalen team just for fun, but I'm not going to do that. So let me go through, now that we have a little bit of a lull, let me go through who came out in round 3. Albert Sengun going at 25 is too high. That's crazy. If you're really high on Albert Sengun, top 25 is not where he is going to finish. Albert Sengun is too high. Now, if you are picking on the turn there and you want Albert Sengun no matter what, you got to reach for him. That's what you got to do. But here's who else was on the board. Kyrie, and I always go best player available top 3 rounds and then build the team. Here was who went 26. Kyrie Irving. That's a 2nd round player. Damian Lillard. Why is everybody out on Damian Lillard? Can someone answer that question to me? Like, Damian Lillard was in like the top 8 for like a decade almost. And then he dropped into like the top 20. And everybody's like, guy's washed. I have no reason to think that he won't play a decent, and he's always been healthy up until like recently. I don't know why he wouldn't play a solid amount of games, 60 plus, 65 plus maybe, and be a top 20 player and score a bunch of points and get steals and get assists. Everyone's out on Damian Lillard, and I love that for you, because you, at the end of the 2nd round, on that turn, I'm getting Damian Lillard almost every single time, and I'm taking him every single time. Like, the ideal turn for me is Karl-Anthony Towns and Damian Lillard. And I'm going to do a perfect draft segment one of these days, and those two guys are 2-3 for me. Jalen Williams with 28. I like that. Fox at 29. Yep. LeBron James in the 3rd round. Sure. He's going to continue to do what he does. I took Cade Cunningham. Lauri Markkanen went 32. I think that's a great pick in Roto. Evan Mobley, Jaren Jackson, Paul George. I don't know if I take Paul George in the 3rd round anymore. And Derek White. I don't love Derek White. I don't love that pick in the 3rd round. I think that's a little too high. I think you could have got him in the 4th, but this guy Steve, he's on Podcast Pierre. He's on the turn. So if you wanted Derek White, that was the time to take him. He went blocks with Miles Turner and Derek White. So he's got a plan. He's got a plan in his head. Like I said, Zion's too high. Bam, yes. Bane, yes. DeJounte Murray, yes. I went Jalen Johnson. I got to go see who's out there. Shit, it's my turn again. Mikal Bridges is a great Roto player. Might be a little too early to take him, but I'm trying to draft every forward in the game apparently right now. I like DeAndre Ayton. I like Darius Garland. I think Pascal Siakam's a nice little pick. Brandon Miller. Zach LaVine. Too early for Zach LaVine. Not too early for Tobias Harris, though. I'm going to have every forward in the whole game. It does look like if I don't go DeMar or Garland, that my assists will suffer. Ooh, this is a tough choice. I'm going Mikal Bridges. I'm taking this is like my all chance team. If things bounce right for all of these players, I'm winning this league. I don't think they will. Like I don't think every one of these players everything's going to bounce right for every one of those players. And I think a lot of people are out on Mikal Bridges. Here's why I'm not out. I'm not out on any New York Knick. Tom Timothy Thibodeau. He's going to play Mikal Bridges 50 minutes a night somehow. He's going to play him at two positions at once. He's going to have four guys out there, and Mikal's going to be in two positions, and he's going to get more minutes just for like an extra 8 minutes a game. The usage is going to be less than when he was the star player, but more than when he was in Phoenix. And he's on a team who's set up for a pick and roll, a high pick and roll with Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. Average to good teams are going to have trouble shutting down that pick and roll, but that's what they're going to put all their effort into, shutting down that pick and roll. Who is open in the corner? Mikal Bridges, who was a top 35 player when they were a role player, when they were a 3-and-D role player and not the guy. Mikal Bridges. So getting him down in here in the middle of the 5th round, why not? I don't hate that pick. Nick Claxton goes off the board. I don't have any centers, so probably time for me to think about it. But this is what I'm saying. I don't want to overpay for Nick Claxton or Jalen Duren or especially Jared Allen at 51. I don't want to overpay for those guys. This is round 5, round 6 is where the run of centers goes. So I get if you need a center, go grab a center. I just don't want to overpay for them. I don't care. I'll go get a reject center in Podol or Zubac, and I'll get a Mark Williams. I'll go a couple of those guys, and I'll just run with them. DeAndre Ayton's still on the board, so if DeAndre Ayton falls to me, I'll take him, actually. DeMar DeRozan went, so like the rest of my queue just went after I took Mikal Bridges. DeMar DeRozan, 5th round, yep. Pascal Siakam, 5th round, yes. Darius Garland, top 50 player, going outside the top 50, yes. Brook Lopez, too early, but this guy's going for a very specific build. Tobias Harris at 61 is a steal. Like an absolute steal. Because he's going to be a top 50 player. Wouldn't have been, honestly, taking him at 55 might have been the right choice. He might have a better year than Mikal Bridges. I like both of those picks in the middle of the 5th round. I think they're both great. I maybe like Tobias Harris more, especially in a Roto League. DeAndre Ayton's great in a Roto League. He went at 62. And now the middle tier of players are coming off the board. Like we are fully in the tiered zone, and people are going to shy towards their favorite mid-round player. Bradley Beal could, once again, like it's all upside guys who you should be targeting here. Miles Bridges is an upside guy. Brandon Miller is an upside guy. Bradley Beal is an upside guy. Bradley Beal just went off the board. Zach LaVine just went off the board. He's an upside guy. I don't have a lot of assists. I could use some more guard stats, and I could use a center. Vujovic is one of those fun roto centers. I don't have like the other than KD, I don't have like the guy. And it might make sense for me to bulk up. Like these are all like great puzzle piece roto guys that I have, and together they could equal out a top 3 squad. But I might have to do some wheeling and dealing with some of these puzzle piece guys to teams that don't have those puzzle pieces. Michael Porter Jr. went at 65. I don't know what the fuck that was. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened there. If that was an auto pick, don't do that. I got Miles Bridges, Vooch, Brandon Miller, D'Angelo Russell sitting here on my board. I am not that high on Julius Randle. I will tell you why later. I do like Keegan. I actually like Keegan Murray in Sacramento. I don't think his usage goes down that much. They need him to play. They need him to play well. I'm gonna go Vooch because this is a 2 center league. Oh no! Hey, pay attention to your league settings. This is a 2 center league, so glad I went Vooch there because I needed 2 centers, and the center drought has already happened. But Vujovic in a Roto league is fun. He's good. He's when he plays, he's a top 50 fantasy basketball player in a way that you can't call him a center, like a scoring forward that doesn't block, but he gets great rebounds, right? I like taking Vooch in a Roto league because he doesn't hurt you anywhere. The lack of blocks hurts you, but he doesn't like kill you in anything. So let's go to my average stats. For some reason, Yahoo's average stats are not loading, so I don't like that. Field goals are good. My free throws could be a little bit better. My threes are good. My points are good. My rebounds are good. See how that adds up? Assists, not so good. Steals, not so good, but still in the middle of the pack. Blocks in the middle of the pack. Turnovers in the middle of the pack. That puts me a couple points out of third place. So now's the time to, this is a Roto League, remember? Now's the time to lean into, I think, the rarer stats that's hard to get later in the draft. Steals are too variable, blocks are too variable, and I think you'll find them later. Like I need another center. I'm not gonna go for another center in my next pick. I need points. I think that's probably the number one thing, and I don't know if I don't need threes, but I might want threes just because it coincides. It's positively correlated with points. Rebounds and assists might be a nice bump as well. Might blow me up in the rankings a lot higher if I can find somebody who has assists. Jalen Suggs is hanging out down there. He's a good steals guy. I like his potential this season. We're getting into the 80s, so it's kind of one more round of hey, take a really good guy, and then it's a big giant crapshoot. Just take whoever you want after pick 90. If I want, no, I'm gonna try to get away with it. Pick 79 is too high. I was like, maybe I should go for a center here, and this is kind of like, a little insider draft. If I go for a center here, then I can start messing around at pick 90. Let's take a look at the rest of that round 6. After I took Vujovic at 66, Cam Thomas at 67. I like Cam Thomas a lot. I think he has good upside. This is what you're looking for in round 6 is good upside. Brandon Miller, OG Anunoby does not have good upside, but I guess if you're taking him, that's fine. I'd much rather have the next 3 guys. Miles Bridges, fine. D'Angelo Russell has a top 50 upside. Drew Holiday, I'd still rather have Drew Holiday than OG and Anunoby because they're kind of like similar players. But I mean, that's fine. Drew Holiday at 72 is fine because like who's left? Zubac goes 75. Mark Williams goes 76. This is a center. Walker Kessler goes 77. Yep, this is a center run. We're on a center run. Josh Giddey goes 78. Well, if we're on a center run, does everybody have a center? I'd have to go check that out. I don't love that. I'm going to have to make a trade for a center. You know what? Screw it. I have the weirdest team. This is the weirdest draft I think I've done. I'm going to pick Brandon Ingram. Because like at 80? Like he's a top 80 player. I like Kyler Murray here too. Or I don't know. I keep calling him Kyler Murray when his name is obviously Keegan. Oh, which one do I do? Do I want the threes or the all-around stats? Now, let's put my faith in Keegan Murray. Nope, Brandon Ingram. Wow, what a last-second Brandon Ingram. Shout out Brandon Ingram. This is a if everything bodes well draft. It's a great draft. If everything doesn't bode well, I will get last place. But all you really have to do, like some people like to play really risky. I play in the middle, and some of these guys I think are very obviously good for where I picked them, like Tatum, Durant, Jalen Johnson, Cade Cunningham. I think they're all very good with good upside. The rest of the guys have, if like they hit, they're better than where I drafted them. But more importantly, if they hit, they become valuable trade bait. Because I don't need Mikal Bridges and Brandon Ingram and Jalen Johnson and Jayson Tatum. I don't need those four guys. It's like the same four guys. In a Roto League, that's going to look really well because they're just going to eat and eat and eat. And I'm not going to be the number one at anything, but I might be number 3 or 4 at everything. And that wins a Roto League. Let's go to the draft results here. Julius Randle went 73. I told you I'd tell you about Julius Randle. I will. How I think about him. Devin Vassell injured right now. I don't know if I want him even in the 7th round. I don't know if I want him there. Zubac, Mark Williams, Kessler, center run. Josh Giddey at 78 is fine. I went with Brandon Ingram. Herb Jones went after that. It's too early. Jabari Smith went 81. That's too early. Jordan Poole went 82. I like that. I like Jordan Poole even in a Roto League in the 80s. That's nice. Julius Randle. And this is where you're going to get an insight into what I think about Minnesota. Julius Randle could be really, really nice in Minnesota, and he could also play bench minutes. And I don't think Julius Randle is good enough fantasy-wise to take a bet on his usage going. His usage is not going to go up. So I don't want to take a bet on that. And I don't want to take a bet on that at pick 73. He might finish in that zone. So it's a fine pick. But that's not the bet I want to take. It's coming up on my pick. I like Kobe White. I don't like Jonas Valanciunas that much. Danny Gafford is down there. Derek Lively, Zach Edey. Just give me some centers on the board here. Trace Jackson Davis. Alex Sarr is not a center. Al Horford last pick would be nice. Just slide him in there. Because he's going to play a lot with Kristaps out. A lot for Al Horford. Like, not a lot. And sneaky last pick. I might actually have to take him next to last because I think these guys are a little too smart. Andre Drummond, even in limited minutes, Andre Drummond's going to be fantasy relevant. And Ben Simmons might too, but I don't want him as much. All right, back to me, huh? This is the weirdest. This is the weirdest draft. If I want Jalen Suggs, I probably have to take him now. And if I want Clint Capella, I probably have to take him now. And I want, you know who I actually want is I want Naz Reid. I want Keegan Murray too. Keegan Murray came back to me. But does Naz Reid come back to me? It's much more important that I get Naz Reid, in my opinion. I love Naz Reid this year. I know there's no such thing as a sleeper. Naz Reid is a sleeper for this reason. Julius Randle isn't the future in Minnesota. I don't think the experiment works with Anthony Edwards. I think they're going to overlap where they like to be on the court a little too much for them to be effective. And the best place for Julius Randle is going to be coming off the bench. Now, whether Minnesota does that or not, I don't know. But there is word out of Minnesota that one of the reasons they moved Cat is because they think Naz Reid has the potential, and I think this is absurd, to be as good as Cat. And I'm just going to say offensively, no chance. Cat's one of the best offensive players, certainly one of the best offensive bigs. Maybe top 3 of all time. Seriously. Like, just go look at the advanced stats. It's crazy. Defensively, though, he isn't. Naz Reid might be all around, like an 8 all around player, 80 at his peak, at his prime, 85% Cat, and that's a really good fantasy player. I think they're gonna try to develop Naz Reid this year, which is why I'm not trying to draft Julius Randle, and I am trying to draft Naz Reid. So that's why I took him at 90. Here's some other notables from the round previous to that. Podol and CJ McCollum went in round 7, center run, so that's perfectly fine. Probably should have took Podol instead of Brandon Ingram. Probably regret that later, but maybe not. If Naz Reid, who's a center eligible, works out. Round 8, Tyus Jones, sure. Austin Reeves, okay. Nah. Why are we excited about Austin Reeves again? Like, if someone gets hurt in LA, he takes on a bigger role, and I guess that's nice, but his upside is not good, not great. Tyler Hero for 3s, Trey Murphy for 3s whenever he's done being injured, so I don't love him at 88. Kobe White for the upside. I do like that. I took Naz Reid. Amen Thompson went after me. Keegan Murray went after that. I like that pick because I wanted him. I also wanted Suggs to come back to me, and he didn't. Dyson Daniels in this round, no thank you, but Suggs, Bogdanovich, yes. Terry Rozier, sure. Whatever. Anthony Simons, Jonas, and Sexton come off the board after that. There's some sharps in here. I'm going to have to play my cards right to get Andre Drummond. Absolutely going to have to play my cards right to sneak Andre Drummond on my team. I'm in the middle of the road on percentages. I'm basically in the middle of the road on everything, except for I'm not very good in steals. Not very good at steals at all. The steals would be nice here. Kuminga's an interesting player at this spot. Nurkic is interesting-ish. It is my turn. I think Kyle Kuzma just went off the board. I don't think I want Chris Paul, but I could use the boosts and assists. Draymond is an interesting character here as well. Everybody hates Draymond, but at 103, like, whatever. Do I have the points to make up for that? Maybe. I don't want Clay. He might be completely washed. Jeremy Grant, RJ got points. It's also now time to take a stab at someone like Keontae George. Let's go upside. It's more fun to play upside. Let's go Keontae George. Am I saying his name right? Keontae. It's a cool name. Let's go Keontae George. Let's go for the upside. If any of these losers fall to me like Danny Gafford or Nurkic or Draymond might fall back to me, like, or maybe even Derek Lively. I'll probably pick one of them up, but I'm going to pick Andre Drummond. The question is do I pick Andre Drummond? Feels like a last round pick for everybody, so I feel like I need to get him possibly in the 11th or 12th round, and I'm totally okay with you doing that too. Even in a Roto league. Okongwu's hanging out down here as well. I think I'm gonna take on Okongwu. I hope they finally go to him. For points wise, Jalen Green's out here. RJ Barrett, like I said. Denny Avdia is not exciting. Norman Powell and Jaden Ivey are draftable. So I got some options. I'm going upside. So in round 9, Anthony Simons, Jonas, Sexton, Caruso, all perfectly good picks. Zach Edey would have been a nice flyer instead of Keontae George for me because I need a center, but whatever. I went guard instead of center. There's centers out there. Kuzma after Zach Edey. I went Keontae George. Fine. Clint Capella. Probably should have took him as a safe pick too, but I didn't. Danny Gafford. Here comes, it's another center run. Danny Gafford, Kuminga, Nurkic. Fine. Get your centers. Chris Paul, 108. That's a good spot for Chris Paul. Noah Clowney at 109. It's an upside pick. If you drop him in a week, cool. And you probably will. I don't think the playing time, I don't think I don't think it's going to work out. I don't think it's going to be that good. You son of a bitch. Okongwu goes off the board. You stupid son of a bitch. You bastard. You dirty hoe. And then there goes Draymond. So there goes 2 of my picks. Don't love that. You don't love to see that. You do not love to see that. So do I get crazy? Take Drummond at 114, or do you think I can get him? Listeners, I'm going to see if I can get him in the 11th round, which is still like really early because I think maybe someone takes him in the 12th, but certainly someone takes him in the 13th. Honestly, maybe no one takes him in the 13th. I don't know. We got Jalen Green out there, and I'm actually kind of high on Alex Sarr. I think the upside on Alex Sarr's fantasy game is pretty nice. And it's far more exciting. I know Jalen Green's out there and he's averaging 20 points a game. I know he's a scorer. This is supposed to be fun. So I'm gonna go fun. I'm going young rookies. I'm going a build that I only do sometimes. I rarely do it, but this is why I like playing in Roto leagues, and this is why Roto leagues are the most fun to play in. Because if I look at my overall team, it's kind of like I like this Tatum, Durant, Cade, and Jalen Johnson in the 4th round. I love that grouping. And the rest of it's kind of like, okay, they're like, Brandon Ingram, probably shouldn't have took him, probably should have taken a center, but like, okay, like just a bunch of okay guys. But if like 1, 2, or 3 of these guys break out, You are then playing a game with a bunch of other people who need positional players. If Keontae George is going wild and someone else has 3 good point guards and they need a forward, well, I got a bunch of forwards, so I can throw them George to give them like 60% of one of their great point guards. I can give them one of my mini forwards here who could just slot into one of their better spots. They improve, I improve. Because I'm not playing directly against that person a couple weeks a year. I'm playing against them all year long. So when we both win, it's a positive thing. I'm like literally going all upside. I might go Scoot and Jaden Ivey. I want Andre Drummond. I'm crazy. Even in a Roto league, I want Andre Drummond. Al Horford's probably the correct pick here. Scoot could be really fun. So could Jaden Ivey. In a Roto league, I think I would rather have Jaden Ivey than Scoot. Scoot probably should be drafted, but I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that. I've seen a lot of people go off the board. Porzingis at 110, Okongwu at 111, Draymond at 112, Dante DiVincenzo at 113. No, thank you. Everything else I like, but not Dante. It's too early for him. I took Alex Sarr, upside, Marcus Smart, fine. Jalen Green, points, cool. Derek Lively, center, yeah. Josh Hart, little high, but Tom Thibodeau. Cameron Johnson, I like that pick at 119. Bobby Portis is safe at 120, but I don't like it. So go for some upside, Roth. Trace Jackson, okay, Trace Jackson Davis, that's upside. There you go. I like that. Johnny Collins just went off the board. It's another super safe pick down here. RJ Barrett could be fun. He's 24. He does absolute stupid shit while like score 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting like an asshole at 42%. Excuse me. Nah, he shoots at 47. Hold on. What did he shoot last year? Why aren't the averages stats coming up? Why aren't the average stats coming up? All right. That's hurting my ability to properly analyze these players. The question here is, does Andre Drummond get back to me? I got Scoot. I got Norman Powell, Jaden Ivey, Jeremy Grant, RJ Barrett. Scoot could be really fun. He's just going to kill your percentages. It's tough. All upside picks. Give me that upside. Listen, I got Tatum. I got Kevin Durant. I got a lot of good field goal percentage guys. If I actually have to start Scoot, that means he's playing well enough to start, which means he's probably giving me really good stats elsewhere, and I can hold out, hold out, possibly long enough, or have enough field goal percentage to stay afloat, like in the middle, if Scoot's getting wild out. Or guess what? It's a Roto league. Someone is going to be terrible at field goal percentages. So that will make Scoot Henderson infinitely more valuable to that person than they actually are. So another trade. Roto is for the traders. Not like the traitors. Not like people who are traitors to their country. Not like the Confederacy. The traders, like the people of Venice back in the salt trade days. Traders. They were trading them goods, buying and selling on values that they make up in their head. That's what you're doing too. And now here's where I sit and pray that Andre Drummond falls back to me. This is probably the most insane draft that I've done. I don't know if I can recommend like using this as like a template. You could like look at where other players went, right? But I've done a lot of drafts in the last like 3 weeks, and I think I sometimes you just get weird with it. Just make it fun, make it interesting. And to me, this one's really weird, but like I love the idea that I'm not playing in like what I normally do, which is like here's some safe guys, here's some risks, here's the guys I usually draft in these spaces. And it's honestly, I think it's because I haven't drafted seventh in any of my leagues. I've been up top, I've been in the turn, and I've been at 5 a few times, but like 7, 8 is an area that 7, 8, 9. I don't think I'm in drafted there, and I I'm liking what I have. Just it's not a my team's gonna kill everybody team. It's a my team is built for a long season in wheeling and dealing. Minus Brandon Ingram. That was probably a mistake. Probably should have went Keegan there or a center. But I don't know, man. Whatever. 2 more picks to see if Andre Drummond gets to me. In this round, Braun, Ivy, that's a nice pick, and Melton go. At this point, I'm not going to tell you if I like. I'll tell you if I like the pick or not, but it's like Braun, Ivy, Melton. Yeah, they got nice upside. Go for it. Al Horford at 132 was one of my. I was eyeing Al Horford as a final pick. I like Taylor Hendricks at 130. I think that's a great pick. RJ Barrett for the points, someone I was considering in round 11 as well. Keon Ellis, not for me, but it's the last rounds. Who cares? I think you could get Keon Ellis later. Mike Conley at 128. It's a nice pick, a nice solid safe pick, and I like that. I took Scoot, Chris Middleton at 126, Pods at 125, Jonathan Isaac. I don't know why you're taking them at 124, Sochan at 123. I hope Sochan figures it out, but I'm not holding my breath. Johnny Collins 122, Trace Jackson Davis, I mentioned that earlier, 121. Donovan Clingan goes 137, which means Andre Drummond, the monster, the permanent monster of the Midway. Andre Drummond, who, if Embiid, as I mentioned earlier, Embiid's going to sit some games. You know that, right? Andre Drummond's going to eat in those games. He's going to eat. Can't wait. But even in like limited minutes, and he's the backup center. He's not like the backup center. He's the backup center. Even in those limited minute games, Andre Drummond is nice. Nice for counting stats, not nice for your free throw. So, once again, this is Roto League. We're looking for quality starts. Every Andre Drummond start where Embiid is out is a quality start. If you did Embiid and Drummond like backup, if you like, that's like a rare thing to do in basketball where you like handcuff a guy or whatever they call it in fantasy football, because I've already forgotten because I haven't played in years. You're actually getting more than 100% of Joel Embiid, because Andre Drummond's like those counting stats that he does are insane. So in like rebounds, you're actually getting more rebounds somehow. Deni Avdija goes next. I think there's no upside there, so it's a safe pick. They're going to get minutes, but whatever. Norman Powell's good for points at 140. Asar Thompson, 141 upside, sure. Gary Trent Jr. at 142. Okay. Ben Simmons at 143. I like that pick. It's fun. So I got Jeremy Grant as my safe pick, Lonzo Ball as my upside pick. And since I've been going upside all day long, all draft long, why would I stop with the last pick? Why would I take Jeremy Grant when I could take Lonzo Ball? Let's scroll through here. Hey, pro tip, don't draft Bronny James. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. I'm okay with you not drafting Klay Thompson either. He probably should be drafted. but he looked washed the other night, and that ain't great. But him and Luka, I think Clay will be fine once he realizes he's not Clay and he needs to shut up and stand in the corner and shoot threes, and then he'll be fine. He'll make them threes. According to the projected stats for next year, my team is last. And like I said, I'm okay with that. I'm in the middle, except for field goal percentage. I'm in the middle of all the categories except for steals and field goal percentage. And that allows me to maneuver because that means all my guys are well-rounded players. And I wonder if there's an IR in this league. I should probably look into that. Allegedly, Lonzo Ball is going to start. How many minutes he plays, who knows? Might not be enough. Probably won't be. That's why I'm like hesitant to take him here. Zachary Rashisher. I like him too. Shaden Sharp could be fun, but he's a little injured recently. Jeremy Grant's the boring pick here, but he heals the boring pick here. I think Golden State's could be a mess. All those guys are just going to rotate minutes, and you're not going to get value out of any of them because they're not going to get the usage. So I don't love that. PJ Washington is also a boring but safe pick here in the last round. Ryu Hachimura is a boring and safe pick here in the last round. But like I said, shit, Lou Dort's a boring and safe pick here in the last round. But why would you be boring and safe? Zach Rashisher? Zachary Rashisher. Listen, I went to France earlier. I think he's French. I don't know. He might be from like Atlanta. I don't know. Or Fort Worth. I don't know. Let's go. Let's go. Probably the most fun I've had. The most fun I've drafted, but like probably the most confusing team I've ever drafted, including to myself. What a weird team. What a bunch of strange choices. I love it. I had a lot of fun picking this team, even though it's kind of insane. And I actually think this is a money league and not a mock draft. So might have blew that money. But you cannot. That's not true. You can lose. You can lose your league in the draft, but you cannot win your league in the draft. It cannot be done. You cannot win your league in the draft. You have to win your league by grinding out every single week, hitting the waiver wires, making good trades, playing the right people, especially in a Roto league, making the right choices of who you're starting. And I'm actually kind of interested in playing this one out because I feel like I have put myself in a bit of I put myself in, I wouldn't call it a hole. I would call a required set of parameters that will force me into being more active, being more trade savvy, something that I think I personally need to work on as someone who plays fantasy basketball way too much. And this team, honestly, this team requires me to do that. It really does. To recap, round one, Jayson Tatum safe because I think Trae Young's safe too, actually. And maybe a Trae Young, Kevin Durant is a better hot combo. But I went Jayson Tatum safe because I got Kevin Durant on the way back. I think Kevin Durant probably should go on the turn, quite frankly. Coming back, I went Cade Cunningham, mostly because I don't have any Cade Cunninghams. None. I have 0 Cade Cunninghams. And just like there wasn't a lot of guards left, and I wanted a decent guard. DeJounte Murray almost got back to me, and I would have taken him or Desmond Bane, who almost got back to me. But they didn't, so I had to go Jalen Johnson because that was the best player on the board. In the 5th round, I decided to just lean into like across the board guys who are great for Roto. Like these guys' rankings in Roto are going to look really, really good. Whether they're effective or not depends. But in Roto, the rankings are going to be nice, and you need these types of players. You need to be able to slot in Mikal Bridges and Jalen Johnson somewhere and let them cook. Let them play every game. Don't take them out of your roster. Don't look at it. This is a Roto league. So I went with Mikal Bridges, and then coming back, I went with Vujovic because he's a good Roto center, and I needed a center because I found out this was a 2-center league somewhere around the middle of the 6th round when I took Vujovic, and it was like, oh, glad I took him because this is a 2-center league. Whoops. Which means, of course, I missed the center run that happened in round 7, and a little bit of a panic pick. I think I took Brandon Ingram. I probably should have taken a center. Probably should have taken Podol. I think he would have been a very serviceable center, and I've been talking about taking a serviceable center the entire draft, and then I didn't do it. So Podol doesn't get back to me. Neither does Jordan Poole or Kobe White or Tyler Hero, who I would have all been very fine guards to put on my team. I went with Naz Reid because I love Naz Reid. I think Naz Reid's going to have a really nice year. I think I definitely overpaid for him because I probably could have got him in the 8th, but I'm okay with overpaying for him because that's the guy I wanted. I think Naz Reid is a breakout candidate. I also think Keontae George is a breakout candidate because he's going to play a lot. I hope he does because I took him in the next round, in the 9th round, and then I just went upside, and of course, my boy, Andre Drummond. I took Alex Sarr in the 10th, Scoot Henderson in the 11th, Andre Drummond in the 12th, and Zachariah Rochacher. Nope, that's the wrong accent. Zachariah Rochacher. I went to France, and I learned how to, you got to, talk low and very open, and it's like, bonjour, Zachary Rochacher. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Zachary Rochacher. Koulibaly would have been, that's not how you say his name, but Koulibaly would have been a nice pick in the last round as well, and he did go. And that's a nice pick. That's a very nice pick. Shout out to this crew. This was a good draft. It's the weirdest draft I've done. It was also, quite frankly, because I hadn't been picking in this space, right? And the picks 7, 8, 9. A little unfamiliar how guys would fall, so I did feel like I was reaching a little bit, but I also felt like guys fell to me. Like I feel like Cade Cunningham and Jalen Johnson fell to me, and Kevin Durant fell to me, and Vujovic fell to me. That I know that's gonna sound like what Vujovic fell, but you can't draft him low enough. But it's like no, you can. You can draft him low enough. I didn't really mind this space, the 7, 8, 9 space, but I also think it left me with the weirdest team, completely weirdest team I've drafted overall, and does not look good on the projected stats for Yahoo.com, but let's go take a look at, I believe I set this up. Nope, I did not set up this league, so I'm not going to look at hashtag basketball's rankings at all. I'm just going to say, guess what? I'm in last place in the projected stats, but that don't mean jack shit. I got a lot of wheeling and dealing I'm going to have to do in this league, and I'll probably keep you updated on that as we move forward this season. I really appreciate you joining us. There's going to be more content on the podcast. So, Watching the Boxes, Fantasy Basketball Podcast. We are on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, follow the podcast. And if you're on one of those two, twitch.tv/watchingtheboxes is another place where we put out content. And we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. And we will see you next time.